He stands in a narrow galley, deep below the ocean's surface. The boat's been underwater for days. There aren't any windows, and there's no sense of time. Only the low hum of machinery and the steady vibration of the hull. He starts his shift the same way every day. He checks temperatures, opens storage panels, counts what's left. Nothing here is casual. Every movement is practiced. The space around him is tight. Two people can't pass each other without turning sideways. Metal walls, secured cabinets, equipment bolted down so it won't move if the submarine changes depth. This is not a restaurant kitchen. It's a controlled environment inside of a sealed system. Fire, water, heat, and smell are all risks if they are not managed correctly. He knows how many people he'll feed today. He knows when each group will eat. He knows that some of them have been awake for hours already, standing watch in places even smaller than this. Above him is hundreds of feet of water. Around him are dozens of systems that must never fail. His job isn't to impress anyone. His job is to keep the routine intact. Meals mark the day here. Breakfast means a night watch is ending. Dinner means another long stretch underwater is still continuing. He doesn't think about the ocean above. He focuses on the next task, the next tray, the next timing window. For the crew, the day begins when he starts cooking. Long before the sub even leaves port, his work has already begun. Weeks earlier, while the boat was still tied to the pier, he planned every meal. He didn't choose food based on preference. He plans based on duration, calories, storage life, and space. Each sailor needs enough energy to stand watch, work long shifts, and stay focused for months. He works with fixed numbers: crew size, mission length, daily calorie requirements. There's no resupply once the sub disappears beneath the surface. Fresh food comes first. Crates of vegetables, fruits, eggs, and meat are loaded in massive quantities. But not because they'll last, but because morale depends on them early in the mission. He knows exactly when the fresh food will run out. Not the day, the meal. Menus are built in reverse order. The last weeks rely almost entirely on frozen, canned, and dry goods. The first few weeks use fresh ingredients that must be eaten before they spoil. Nothing is random. He plans meals so that the ingredients overlap. One product supports multiple dishes, reducing waste and storage pressure. He knows which compartment holds flour, which holds canned vegetables, which hides spare ingredients meant for later weeks. Before departure, he checks everything again. If something's wrong now, it cannot be fixed later. Once the hatch closes, the plan becomes reality. There aren't any replacements and no second chances. Down here, food is not comfort. It's fuel, structure, and timekeeping. And once the submarine submerges, his preparation begins to be tested, meal by meal. Once the sub leaves port, there's no single place called storage. Food's everywhere. He knows this before the mission starts. A submarine is not built to carry supplies for months. It's built to carry systems, weapons, and people. So food fills every gap that is left. The galley here is not designed for comfort. It is designed so nothing goes wrong. He works in a space barely wide enough to turn around. Every surface is metal, every cabinet has a latch, and every piece of equipment is bolted down. There's no open flame. Heat is controlled, limited, and predictable. Cooking surfaces are smaller than on land, but they work constantly. He knows the layout by touch. In low light, he can reach for tools without even looking. There's no room for hesitation. On the largest submarines, the galley never really rests. As soon as one meal ends, preparation is beginning for the next one. Timing matters more than technique. You can't cook everything at once. Power is shared with propulsion, sensors, and life support systems. If energy demand spikes elsewhere, he has to adjust his pace without being told. Safety shapes every decision. Hot liquids are dangerous when the boat changes depth. Sharp tools are secured when not in use. Nothing is left where it could possibly fall. Ventilation is limited. Strong smells travel fast in a sealed tube of metal. He avoids certain ingredients, not because they taste bad, but because they linger. The galley is also a choke point. Crew members pass through on their way to meals, watch stations, or brief breaks. He works while people move around him, always aware of bodies and timing. Noise is constant. Fans, pumps, distant machinery. He raises his voice only when necessary. This kind of kitchen doesn't allow for improvisation. Every movement follows a pattern. Every recipe has already been adapted for this space. If something fails here, it affects everyone. Cold food, late meals, disrupted schedules. So he keeps it simple, controlled, repeatable. The galley is not where creativity lives. It's where discipline becomes visible. And soon the scale of that discipline becomes clear when it's time to feed the entire boat. On the largest submarines, feeding the crew is a continuous operation. He doesn't think in single meals, he thinks in cycles. Breakfast has to start while some sailors are still on watch. Others arrive just as their shifts end. There's no single moment when everyone eats together. He has to plan for volume. Hundreds of meals every day. 3 main meals, plus night rations for those who never see the mess deck during normal hours. Breakfast is built for endurance. Calories first, warm food, predictable timing. It sets the tone for the day, even though no one can see the sun. Lunch follows a tighter window. Watch rotations actually overlap. The line moves fast. He can't afford delays. Dinner is the only meal that feels close to normal. Not because it's relaxed, but because it's expected. For many sailors, it's the single fixed point in a day with no visual markers. He measures portions carefully. Too small, and the energy drops. Too large, and supplies disappear too fast. There's no room for personal preference. Special diets do exist, but only when medically required. Everything else follows the plan made before departure. He works with repetition on purpose. Familiar meals reduce complaints. Predictability reduces friction. Even small changes matter. If a meal arrives late, it can shift watch schedules. A cold tray breaks focus. He watches the crew without staring. How fast they eat, how long they sit, whether they come back for seconds. He notices patterns. When fatigue sets in, plates come back fuller. When morale dips, conversation fades. He doesn't comment, he adjusts timing, temperature, and pacing instead. The galley never closes. When dinner ends, preparation for breakfast begins. Bread is baked, ingredients are staged, equipment is cleaned immediately. On a sub this size, food is not a background task. It is a system that has to keep pace with the mission. And if that fails, the entire boat feels it at once. Every decision he makes in the galley affects systems far beyond the kitchen. Cooking here isn't just about flavor alone. It has to be about balance between systems that all depend on each other. By managing these limits quietly, he keeps the sub stable in ways most of the crew never see. And because of that stability, the crew can focus on their own duties without thinking about what could go wrong. The crew doesn't talk much about the food. That's how he knows it's working. Meals arrive on time. They're hot when they should be hot. They taste the same as they did yesterday. On a sub, that consistency matters. Days have no natural markers. There's no sunset, no sunrise. Time is measured by watches, alarms, and meals. When breakfast is late, the crew feels it immediately. Watch schedules start to slip. Irritation shows in small ways. Short answers, slower movement. When meals are ready, the boat feels steady. He sees it in how long sailors sit at the tables. When morale is stable, they eat and leave. When fatigue builds, they linger a little bit longer, even in silence. Food gives shape to the day. It tells the crew where they are in time, even when weeks start to blend together. He understands that his work does not lift spirits dramatically. It prevents them from dropping. After long hours in confined spaces, warm food grounds people. It signals that systems are still working, that routines are intact. No one applauds when dinner is normal, but everyone notices when it's not. He also knows that his role reaches beyond hunger. Energy levels affect attention. Attention affects safety. A distracted sailor misses details. A tired one reacts slower. Those risks begin long before anyone reaches their station. So he watches patterns. If plates come back untouched, something's wrong. If portions disappear too fast, he adjusts the next meal. He doesn't ask questions. He responds through timing and quantity. By the final weeks of the patrol, little has changed in his routine. The boat is still submerged. The days still blend together. He stands in the same galley, following the same procedures. The menu is simpler now. Most fresh food is gone. What remains is exactly what he planned for months earlier. He works quietly while much of the crew sleeps. Night watch will eat soon. Morning watch will follow. There is no moment where his job becomes easier. Fatigue accumulates, but the standard does not change. He does not see the mission unfold. He doesn't track contacts or monitor systems. But his work touches every person on board every day. Without regular meals, time would lose its shape. Without predictable food, focus would fade. Without energy, mistakes would grow. His role is not about comfort, it's about stability. When the sub finally returns to the surface, his last meal is served like all the others. On time, controlled, expected. Most of the crew will step into daylight first. He'll stay behind, cleaning the galley one last time. For months underwater, while the world above moved on without them, he made sure that nothing inside the boat stopped working. Here's a question for you. Could you work every day in a small kitchen like that, deep underwater, without daylight, cooking the same meals over and over again, knowing that hundreds of people depend on you? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching Military Legends. If you enjoyed this story, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next one. And I'll see you in the next one.